Hi, my name's Justin Johnson.
And I'm Josiah Stowe.
And we are Dominion Wealth Strategists. We are created to put money in the hands of those that are sitting in the pews.
From budgeting to estate planning, savings accounts, retirement planning, life insurance, and a heck of a lot more here at Dominion.
That means that you are leaving an inheritance that passes multiple generations because that is the legacy. It's part of our mission.
All of Christ for all of life.
And all of finance for Christendom.
Parker, what's up, brother?
How's it going, Greg? Thanks for having me on.
Oh, I'm tired already.
Yeah, dude, conferences wipe me out, man.
So, yeah, we're moving right along. We're at the Blue Collar Comedy Tour. Blue Collar Confessionalism Conference. What is the place that where are we at? Is it
East River Church?
I know, but what's the city? I keep saying the wrong. Batavia.
Yeah, Batavia.
I called it something else with William Wolf, and he looked at me weird, and I was like, I don't know what I'm talking about. But yeah, so we're running through speakers. You and I have been here.
Dude.
We're camping out.
Dude, we're camping.
We're in the camper. You're the video production guy that's getting word on the street interviews.
Yeah, we were walking around asking people what their favorite movies were.
Yeah, WatchWell is in the house, and then also MegaChurchAnon.
Yeah.
Or Anon.
So it's technically not live yet, but so we're trying to.
Should I not have said
No,
anything?
you're good. No, it's
Are
fine,
we
it's
breaking it here
fine.
on Deadman Walking?
I guess we are.
Yes, premiering it.
Yeah. So
talk about it.
So my story is I grew up in the megachurch and kind of found the Reformation. Went down that kind of journey where you're super one way, and then it's like, oh, there's more to this, and then you kind of pull on those threads, and couldn't unsee what I saw with Christian history.
Yeah.
And so, our mutual friend Brandon from Eschatology Matters was like, bro, you got to start a channel, man.
Yeah.
So I did. I decided to call it MegaChurchers
Okay.
Anonymous.
All right.
And it's to bridge the gap between Reformed world and megachurch world.
Sure.
So it's
that
a
can
resource.
be a big gap sometimes.
Yeah.
Depending on how far on the spectrum you're on in each of those.
Right. And it's,
excuse me.
There's a lot of, on both sides, there's a lot of barriers, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I want to do. I wanted to serve as a resource to, essentially serve as a resource that I wish I would have had.
I like it because it kind of parallels like Alcoholics Anonymous.
Yeah,
kinda. That's what it reminds me of. Like,
hi, I'm Parker. I'm a recovering megachurcher.
I'm a recovering megachurcher. That's really how I felt too. When I was 24, when the Lord saved me, was, and I'd grown up in church, but I think I was truly saved at 24. I came from a church that was embracing. It was a megachurch. It was embracing like the charismatic wave of like Bethel and all that, and then just started reading the Bible, and I was like, whoa, this isn't what the Bible says at all. I've been learning.
It's like very different than what I'm hearing on Sunday mornings.
And it was like, oh, you don't have to have a coffee bar in your church.
Yep.
Oh, you don't have to have parking attendants and all these weird little marketing schemes and stuff.
Yeah.
And then just generally, I don't know how you felt with the churches you came out of, but really a lack of focus on good, solid theology and doctrine, and like we're truly understanding who God is, right? Theology just is the study of knowing who God is. And I really felt like if you were around then, I could have used your channel of what you're doing now.
Yeah, and I really wanted to relate to people, that haven't even started this journey yet of understanding church history and where, a lot of this stuff comes from. And I would say that I felt that way later. So, like, I think that there's a lot of megachurchers that aren't even aware of the questions to ask.
Yeah.
So, because it's so, because the teaching is topical, and, if you relate to this, because you're in a megachurch and it's like every year you get the love, sex, and dating in February, right? You get...
Dude, let's just say the megachurches, they love, like, the date stuff. Like,
yeah.
Mother's Day, a certain thing. Father's Day, Independence Day, Christmas, all the holidays.
I think there's a lot of megachurches out there that don't even know what exegetical preaching is.
Right.
They don't know that because they've never been taught.
Or just they've never been in a church anything other than that though,
right.
too.
And I'm saying that as someone who didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know those things. I just, you wake up, you go to church on Sunday. If you don't have sports events, and then you're done with church and you go home, you go about your day, and that's it, you know? And I think that, and a lot of, there's a lot of other things to unpack in there. But can I tell you some of what's coming to the channel?
Sure. And I would just say very quickly, this is also good because you have to realize the whole megachurch phenomenon really started like in the mid 80s to early 90s is really when it started taking off. So we are now potentially into people who could be third generation megachurchers.
Right.
Definitely second generation.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're speaking to not only original megachurchers, but their kids and then possibly their young kids.
Yeah.
So I think it's needed for the time. But
yeah. And if and really, like, if I could think of the person that, like, when I was going through this, you know, on my own journey, and I project that onto, like, you know, like an avatar or somebody, like who do I want to reach with this channel? And it's the person that is in a church and has just this, I would say, feeling from the Holy Spirit that something's not quite right with our church, but I can't communicate why it's wrong.
Yeah.
Or what it is.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to leave a church. I've never done that before because it's a mega church. And it may be easy to just leave a church, right? But do you think that people read statements of faith anymore on websites?
Yeah.
To vet, like, how to pick a church? It's like, I didn't know how to do that. I had to learn that.
Yeah.
You know, and then not only that, to read that and hold that statement of faith up to Scripture, of which they don't have the theology to do, and then take that one step further and then make sure that their church is operating according to how they say they're going to operate in the statement of faith.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of even going at, like, let's go back to the basics and let's help people on that journey.
Yeah.
Is kind of the idea. But for the YouTube channel, nothing's live yet. I think outside of one video, it's like a minute and a half video. But some of these I think you're gonna like. Okay, they're kind of fun. So I have Confessions of a Megachurcher, where we're gonna interview megachurchers and just kind of tell their stories because I like to tell stories. We've got Theology Vocab, so that we can bridge the gap between some of these, you know, $5 words that nobody knows what they are. You know, penal substitutionary atonement and all of the high theology words. We've got super passionate false faith groups.
Okay. What's that?
Cults.
Okay.
Super passionate false faith groups. We have the rapture and the Antichrist instead of saying eschatology.
Okay.
We've got, is John Calvin really that bad?
Okay.
Herman what? For hermeneutics.
Okay.
We have.
Are these subjects you're going to cover?
These
or
are playlists.
These are playlists.
So everything inside these are going to be related to the topic.
Okay.
To
cool.
help people kind of just as like a starting point. We've got Defenseless, which is all about apologetics and polemics. And then we have Frequently Asked Questions, Christianity, Creeds and Confessions Explored, Church History They Won't Teach, Demystifying Denominations, Doctrinal Deep Dives.
Yeah.
And then MegaChurch Mind's going to explore, like, okay, this is what the megachurch, if you're feeling these kind of things, this is kind of what you expect in a megachurch, and kind of relate, and then how to, different things to think about along those lines.
Yeah.
So.
No, those are all really good. And those will all be nestled under
MegaChurchers Anonymous.
MegaChurchers Anonymous. So then if you go to that site and you're going to start filling these out with videos, obviously that takes time, the content to produce. You could just click on one of those playlists and be like, yeah, I want to learn about hermeneutics or like bridging that gap. And that was all new. I had to learn all that stuff myself.
Yeah.
I was just like in my 20s and I was just like reading books, buying stuff. You know, that back then you'd buy it like, I don't even think Amazon was around, or maybe it was new. And you're buying books and reading it going, what is this hermeneutic stuff? What is this? Like you said, what penal substitution? Like, wait. The first time in my 20s, I realized that there was different views of eschatology. It blew my mind.
Yeah, I had no idea that there was thing called post-mill and this other thing called
amill and partial preterism. And you go, wait a minute.
What is covenant theology?
And you know what it did for me, though, as someone coming out of like that megachurch mentality, because I'd always had questions, right? Mm-hmm. My whole life. I remember I was 13 years old. I was in youth group. I went up to my youth pastor, and I said, why do people go to hell? He said, well, because they sin. And I said, didn't you just preach on unbelief being a sin? And he said, yeah. And I said, so if unbelief's a sin and God's died for all sinners, like, why does anyone go to hell then? And he was like, That's a good one. And then just turned around and walked away like I was trying to ask him a trick question. And I didn't know that I was like wrestling with like something called limited atonement at 13 years old. But I really wanted to know. So I came out of like the megachurch world, and when I found out, oh my gosh, you mean throughout church history, there have been people thinking about these things and talking about them and trying to put doctrine to it and like work through it. It was like, I was just like so grateful. I almost could weep. I was like, oh, because you felt like an island. Like and then, oh my gosh, other people think this? You know what I mean? Like, oh, they talked about this 1,800 years ago?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And there's like, and nothing new under the sun, like Ecclesiastes says. There isn't. And it was just so awesome, the church history part too. I'm glad you're doing a thing on church history, because I think in megachurches that is so lacked.
Yeah.
Like just a basic understanding of where our faith comes from.
Yeah, and I was talking to Ryan Denton about this because we're at the conference here at East River Church, and they had the panel up there, and somebody asked a question, and I can't remember exactly what the question was, but the answers were all about stories. And they were, and they, it kind of went down the line of like Ryan had an answer, Keith Foskey had an answer about telling stories, and then it kept going down. William had an answer about telling the history and the story of America, to engage more Christians in politics and kind of root it in the history, right? And then John Harris said, yeah, even your family history, like talk about where your family comes from and who your family is, and
Sure.
root your kids to the family history so they can aspire. It can be this cool thing, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, we should really be doing that for our Christian history.
Yeah.
Because if you remove the history, it's kind of like I was talking to Ryan. It's like complex carbs and empty carbs.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like you can eat all the sugar and all the donuts and whatever you want, but you're not actually really eating anything.
Yeah.
What gives you energy is the good stuff, right?
Yeah.
So in that same kind of way, if you remove the church history from that, then it's like you get megachurch. You get, kind of the show, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, I would say there are some denominations that do a very good job of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like we had this is such a sad story, kind of where I live. I'm in real estate, and I saw a little Presbyterian church in Erie, Michigan go up for sale. It was a great price, and you walk in there, it's the whole thing. It's the church, the steeple, built in 1827.
Wow.
It's got the pews, all hardwood. I mean, if you were to build this small church today, it would cost you a couple $1 million, and they're selling it for like $300,000.
Wow.
And there's 12 members left. One of the members, her great-grandfather, and she's like in her 90s, built the church.
Wow.
You go into the narthex part, and they had the whole history of like they came over from Germany and Scotland, and then these people migrated from Pennsylvania, started this church, and had all the family history of all the families who'd attended there since the 1800s. At one time, they had 175 members, a pretty sizable church for the 1950s and 60s. And you just go, it's so sad because it was like all going to be lost, because essentially like everyone just kind of died. I mean, in the church, they got old and died. There's 12 of us left. We can't even pay the property taxes on this. But at the same time, it was encouraging, too, to go, okay, there was a group of people out there that really took pride in, like, family, our church family, our history. And it was very cool to see, too. In the same way, I think just church history in general, like I was saying, needs to be taught in most churches. And I think the Reformed do that a little bit better. But I'm starting to see it, like, catch on with the internet and so much information out there. I'm starting to see, like, the more broader, even non-denominational or the broader evangelical churches starting to go, yeah, we need to learn where we come from. Unfortunately, the big mega churches still, I don't think I've ever seen a series on church history from, a 5,000 plus mega church in America, and it's really sad.
And I think I'm going after it's two things here. Slow process and mentality. So mentality in the context of, I say megachurchers anonymous, but it's the mentality of the megachurch, because I think what we're seeing is a lot of satellites pop up.
Sure.
Where it's like you have this one big mega church, and then you have these like small little churches that don't, like, on paper by number, they're not mega churchers.
By like attendance, but they have the megachurch mentality for sure. Ran kind of like a business, like very seeker friendly, topical sermons.
It's almost like youth group, but for main church. If that makes sense.
Youth group for adults.
Yeah, it's like youth group for adults. And then time. So, like, I think what we're seeing here, and I think you would know this too. It's like the pendulum swing, right? So like you get whatever, Theo-pilled or whatever they're saying these days, red-pilled, right?
whatever color pill it is.
And then a pendulum swing is like, okay, I'm Roman Catholic today. You know, it's like I was a megachurcher. It's like, oh, Reformation, I'm Roman Catholic.
Yeah.
And there, you see that like real quick, and then they find out that Rome doesn't really have all the answers that they say they do.
Yeah.
And then they end up, somewhere else. It's like
a lot of dogma, a lot of discontinuity, a lot of
And I think that
heretical things in the popes went on. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that what we need to do as people like me, I would say I would not say that I'm like technically reformed yet.
Okay.
I would say that I'm reforming.
Sure.
And I would say that I think that it's okay to be where you're at, and I think that what's not okay is to just stay there. I'd say just do the next thing, learn the next thing, and then the people that are reformed, just give the megachurcher time to go through there and just kind of keep pushing us that way.
I mean,
does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. It's been almost a 20-year journey for me.
Yeah.
To where it was like, I told people so first of all, I started off and for 8 years, I was a closeted Calvinist, I would say. I definitely believed in the ideologies of Calvin, but really it was just the doctrines of grace. That was an easy way for me to tell people, like, no, I believe in the doctrines of grace or the 5 solas, and they would go, wait, what are those? And I go, Scripture alone, Christ alone, faith alone, grace alone, for the glory of God alone. And
I've experienced that too, where it's like the 5 solas, right? It's like like that's what came out of the Reformation.
Yeah.
And they don't know.
Well, it's what came out of the Reformation, but most of your non-Reformed or non-Calvinistic churches would go, oh, no, yeah, we believe that.
Right.
And you go, okay. And I found it was my way to kind of ease into that conversation, or, because I grew up where people were like, my pastor was like, oh, yeah, Jonathan Edwards, he was a good preacher, but don't really read his stuff. He was kind of a wacko, though. And you're like, it was just because they had this real fear of, like, Calvinistic theology.
Yeah.
And the sovereignty of God and everything.
And I grew up with John Calvin was the bad guy.
Same thing.
But nobody really told me that. It was just kind of this unspoken thing. It's not like somebody sat me down and was like, yeah, he's the, the enemy of
exactly. It was just like, we don't
do that. Like,
just don't look over it. Focus on this, kind of.
Yeah.
And
we're in the new covenant.
And then when you read church history, though, that was the big wake up call for me. And I don't know how this will relate to MegaChurchers Anonymous, essentially. But for me, it was like I had enjoyed through homeschool and through church so many other guys that come to find out were reformed in the faith.
Yeah.
Like when I found out that John Newton wrote Amazing Grace and he was Calvinistic and he was a slave trader and he used to basically beat people at the knees with baseball chunks of wood. He was a mean-spirited, horrible person. And then you realize through the doctrines of grace, God elected him onto salvation, and that's why he wrote, "You saved a wretch like me." And he writes a song, Amazing Grace. You're like, oh my goodness, he's reformed. And then you go, wait a minute, Joy to the World by Isaac Watts in the 50 different hymns we sing, he's reformed. Wait a minute, Charles Spurgeon, he's reformed. Wait a minute, you're telling me Pilgrim's Progress, the story I read as a kid, John Bunyan, he was reformed. It just kept going on and on. And you go, where's this history been my whole life? This church history of like, I've enjoyed all these, we stand on the shoulders of the reformers, but yet most of the non-reformed don't want to talk about that.
Yeah. And
it's such a disservice to the average Christian. If anything else, I hope your channel under the history, the hermeneutics, I don't think the goal is to try to convert them to a certain theology, is it? It's like, or is it? I don't know. But
no, I would say
just exposing people to church history.
Yeah.
If you expose them to true church history, they will have most non-denominational evangelical Christians will have a change in their theology and go, wait a minute.
Yeah, I want a nice way to where it's not just oh, you're a legalist because you're reformed, or because I think I've caught wind of that, where it's like, oh, if you're reformed and you actually have a healthy balance of the law and gospel, the law and grace, I would say that would be my position, but what they hear is, oh, you're a Pharisee because you've got to do certain things or whatever, and they just completely misunderstand what that even means. So
are you going to explore that on the channel at all?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to do as much as I can to just bring things to light. That's kind of the heart of it. Is I just want to make more people, megachurchers, aware that these things even exist. That post-mill is a thing, and I'd really like to use plain language so we don't get caught up in like, oh, well, I don't know what that means, So it's kind of less intimidating is kind of the idea.
How are you going to overcome someone who's been in the mega church mentality type church for maybe most of their life or all of their life, and they just really do believe like church polity, right? Like how you order your service and like what church is for and stuff. Like that's a hard hump to overcome.
Yeah, it is.
Because if you just grow up and it's like you go to a church to where it's like get there a couple minutes early, hit the coffee bar, we do a little greeting, we have announcements, we get a 22-minute topical sermon, and then afterwards we all go out to eat, and we're out of there in an hour and 10 minutes, and I don't really talk to anyone else till next week.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people go to church that way.
Yeah, they do.
Right? Put in their time. They put in, and we're back before 1 p.m. Fox football. Like,
well, not if you go to the first service at 8
right,
a.m.
Yeah, go to the 8 a.m.
You're at home at 9:30.
Get it out of the way. Yeah.
And you're sweatpants and Netflix.
I can see, because I had a little bit of that. I thought like, oh, these Reformed guys or these Calvinistic guys, they're kind of snobs when it comes to like, well, no, there's a certain order that we have church. We have corporate confession. Like, we're very hospitable. We spend a lot of time together. We do Bible studies, small groups. We do weekly stuff. We do all these things because we're the body of Christ, and we should be around each other and gathering the brethren together in fellowship as commanded in Scripture. I kind of felt a little, like, just for a little bit, like, it seems like a lot of like have they made church their idol? And then you realize when you hang out with these guys, and I've become one of these guys, and I've said it many times, and you tell me what you think about this. There's people in my church that I'm closer to as a brother and sister in Christ than some of my extended family because they're unbelievers. Mm-hmm. And I never thought I would say that. Mm-hmm. You always grow up like blood, family, you know what I mean? Yeah. Both sides of my family were very big on like where we came from and what our ethnicity was, and we were related to these people in Ireland and these people in Poland and like all this Germany, right? And then you go, blood really, the blood of Christ really supersedes any type of human blood that I share with anyone. And it's a crazy thing. And I think a lot of the Reformed folks do it out of a place of loving the body of Christ. Yeah. Because Christ has brought us together under his atonement.
Yeah.
You know? And that's what I would, if I was, running this channel too, is like, I would love for mega churchers to understand that as well, because I think everything you said is right. They're going to be going through, they come to your channel, or they're exploring other things. We do get that. I say we, I'm saying like the Reformed or the Calvinistic. Yeah. We get that thing of like, they're a little Pharisaic, little legalistic, little high, kind of snooty, and do you know this big word?
Ivory tower.
Ivory tower. Yeah. And that maybe a minority of the people are, but the majority of I'm Reformed, and I'm at something called a Blue Collar Confessionalism. Like blue collar. Yeah. It doesn't get any, you know what I mean? Like all these guys out here, they're wearing work boots and they're working, but they love the Lord and they're Reformed in their theology. So I think that's a misnomer, but I love that you're trying to bridge that gap, because it was a gap for me. So I totally understand what you're trying to do. And it kind of sounds like it's your story too.
Yeah. I didn't really have, I had people in my life that helped me through it. My cousin Nick is a big, he was always, like, hey, what about
Shout
this?
out Nick.
And I was like, what about this? And, it'd be nights I get back from, working out or something and be like, I just can't get that thought out of my head. What does this have to do with this? And is this, am I right in thinking this? And it was just, I was inhaling scripture, and I was inhaling, books, and watching your Calvinist videos on, justification by faith alone. And And I was doing all kinds of,
Did you say that because Keith just walked in?
Eschatology matters. And,
shout out Keith Foskey, you're Calvinist.
James White, and all these guys, that have been instrumental in really my walk. I would agree with you that from a spiritual sense, spiritual things precede, physical blood and different things like that. Yeah, totally. Because I think that it's I think it's part of the humility in it that kind of roots people together.
Just knowing that you've got undeserved
that I can
grace
do to earn the grace that is, and we're very similar in that way. We're just sinners that need saved, and that we can't do that in and of ourselves. And that unites people at a deeper, faster.
Sure.
Yeah.
So when I release this, am I going to be able to link up the YouTube account, or you'll have some stuff on there by then?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, cool. And what is it called again?
MegaChurchers Anonymous.
And it's just on YouTube right now?
It's just on YouTube right now. You can follow it on X too. It's MegaChurchAnon, or Anon, however.
Anon or Anon? We had the discussion at B-Dubs last night.
I think it's Anon. According to
I almost wanted to tell William Wolf, is it B-Dubs or B-Dubs?
Yeah, that's right.
Like, what are we doing here, dude?
That's right.
Stop nitpicking my words. So, and also WatchWell. Still doing that.
Still doing WatchWell, yeah. WatchWell.
Give me the tagline. I love the tagline.
So WatchWell, we apply presuppositional apologetics to film and movies and social media.
Amen.
So we're still doing WatchWell. We've actually got a whole bunch of stuff coming. We've got man on the street kind of stuff coming to WatchWell.
I'm going to tease that. So if you're watching this right now, jump over to WatchWell on YouTube, or if you're listening to this, go over to WatchWell on YouTube. And he did some man on the street stuff, and there's some pretty crazy interviews he got. And some really funny opinions on their favorite movie and why they like it. And it's some people you'll recognize.
Yeah. And then we've got parents' guides coming. So we've got all kinds of stuff coming to WatchWell. So still doing that.
Awesome.
So patience, because it takes time to create everything, but it's coming.
Cool. Well, thanks for hanging out.
Yeah.
This has been awesome because basically, you guys, Parker and I came down here together. We live about a half hour apart. Mm-hmm. We pulled my camper down here. We've been camping out. We'll probably go start a fire tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe invite some guys over, hang out. We've had beautiful weather for the most part down here, and it's been a joy hanging out with you, Parker. I love it when we get to do conferences together. But yeah, check out WatchWell. Check out MegaChurchAnon. Follow. We'll link it up all below, and then we're gonna
real quick. Just publicly, I want to thank you for your support, and your friendship, and just.
I mean, I am pretty awesome.
I mean, you have me on the podcast, and you're just real. I really appreciate it. It means a lot.
I'll give you your $50 later for saying that.
That's real.
Awesome. But yeah, we're gonna be bringing you more interviews. We're matching them all up. We're at Blue Collar Confessionalism Conference. Tongue twister of a conference, but we got through it. Remember, guys, the chief end of man is to glorify God and enjoy Him forever. God bless. But man, another one in the books, Blue Collar Confessionalism Conference. It was phenomenal. Thank you for having me down.
Yeah, you're welcome. It was helpful to have some folks down here to get the word out and spend some time with our speakers.
The speakers were awesome, man.
Everyone
did such a great job. It was.
I've been trying I always try to put together the right vibe.
Yeah.
And sometimes you do it, sometimes you don't. But it was like even. Like I really felt like each guy added to the overall big idea. The world right in front of you was kind of like the theme. And William was great. John Harris, who was like drugged up trying to survive the flu, still did a great talk on virtue. And Keith and his weird notes. His notes are the weirdest sermon notes I've ever seen.
Color-coded notes,
Color-coded, and I look at it and I'm like, none of this makes any sense. What is this? It looks like...
I think they used those on Breaking Bad to make meth. It was
that's
the same
what
type
it is.
of chemistry notes,
like an eschatology chart from the 80s almost. And,
maybe he's dispensationalist.
He was good. He was... I really enjoyed that. Jake Menzel has been a good friend of mine for a long time. Talked about athletics.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, an area that Reformed Christianity should move into. We're so antagonistic towards it because of the Lord's Day violations, the Sabbath violations associated with that, which people are right to be concerned about that, but also it's such a shaping force in people's life. Like think about how many guys are like 50s, 60s, and they're still talking about the state tournament they almost went to or they did, and so having those sort of conversations were helpful. I thought the panel was kind of funny. Yeah. It was like the John Harris, William Wolf show, and all the pastors like, I don't want to touch that. So, I had a good time.
No, the athletics are a fun one just because athletics are rooted in biblical principles, really.
Very much.
You know what I
Very
mean? And
much.
it's so good. My son's playing football now at 11, and boy, does he love the camaraderie and kind of helping each other out and teamwork and all that stuff that kind of really helps grow character. But the Jake thing was funny, is I heard him talking at your house last night, and I heard him say Doug, and then I heard him say Indianapolis, and then I heard him say Tim, and I go, wait a minute, who are you talking about? Tim who? He goes, Tim Bailey. I go, you know, my pastor's Nathan Bailey, which formerly David Bailey, his brother.
Oh yeah, Christ the Word.
I'm at Christ the Word,
Oh, I
and
did
Doug
not
came
know
out
that.
and preached a few years back, and they have that connection. And I said, we sing some of your songs and
Oh, wow.
Warhorn Media,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it was kind of cool. And then Ryan, I've met before and didn't know it, so it was very nice too. I'm not just saying for me, but the speakers were great. But I made some
I
connections
tried
here,
to
which
make this conference for you.
right.
So-
But it was cool to have those guys here. Really, I think some of the speakers underappreciated. And it's so nice for you to give them that platform to be able to minister to us. Every speaker was awesome, and it just keeps chugging along and more popular. And people are telling me you got to go down there. And then when you said, "Hey, come down," I was like, "Absolutely!" 3.5 hour drive for me. We got the camper down at the state park. It's awesome.
Yeah.
But this one was a great success by all measures. What do you got coming up next year? Aren't you doing something for pastors or
We're doing
shepherds?
a pastors conference the last Thursday through Saturday of April. So it's
Okay.
April, and it
This
butts
April.
into the beginning
This spring.
next year. Yep.
Yep.
Butts right into the beginning of May. My read of our moment right now, the sort of post-pandemic era we're moving into,
Okay.
is if I'm going to focus on things that extend beyond my church, those would be younger pastors.
Yeah.
And young households, young marriages and families. Those are
Yeah.
the area that I think are real strong leverage points. Like, for example, at our church, we have a lot of young families starting to show up. So when we founded East River, it was pretty concentrated 40s and 50s, actually.
Okay.
So we had a lot of stability and a good bit of money as we started. Now these younger families are showing up, and what's interesting is that their parents are following them, right?
yeah.
So I used to say, go after the men, you'll get the women. But to some degree right now, go after the young families, and you actually will get the more theologically aligned, culturally aligned parents. These much older millennials or boomers that are great folks will show up. So I think really trying to help those young families right now that experience the collapse that we went through the last several years, whether governmentally or in church and all that sort of stuff. And they're like, all right, I don't want to be part of that. Liberalism sucks. It's dead.
Yep.
How do I be a man? How do I be a woman? How do I put this household together? It's very like little baby birds ready to be fed.
Yeah.
So I've been thinking a lot about that. And then there's a lot of people that got kind of battlefield promotions into the ministry.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
And
during
maybe the senior
post-COVID.
pastor's like, I'm out of this. I don't want to do it anymore. Or they had to plant a church.
Yeah.
Because there was nowhere open. And one guy I love, you want to talk about an unappreciated voice, is my friend Tom Ford out in Australia. And Tom, I forget what he was doing, but he was basically like the youth pastor.
Okay.
And the elders would not show up for worship or anything during COVID. They're refusing it, but the bylaws required it. Essentially, Tom took over and the elders all left.
No one was there, so he's just now the guy.
Well,
at church, or what?
they kind of led a constitutional battle.
Wow.
And he more or less won. And I was out at that church in Brisbane 2 years ago. Church is vibrant. Keith Sangha is one of their elders. I love those guys out there. There's a lot of, but Tom's this 30, 31, very wise for 30, 31. But there's a lot of guys like that across the world, across the state. The states is my prime concern, and they don't know how to lead good elders meetings. They're facing the weird issues that you face in the ministry because we're
the real world things.
Yeah, we're general practitioners. We're trying to navigate inheritance disputes. What happens with a spouse that leaves you and claims to be trans or whatever?
Yeah,
you get all these questions that they want help in. So we thought like that's the other ROI, right? So that's the lever I want to pull because I think healthier churches that are doctrinally historic and conservative, that also know how to help men and women be men and women right now and raise families. That's if I put some effort in there, it's going to have an inordinate amount of effect. So those are the two areas.
If I may say, you're probably uniquely qualified for that. 10 minutes ago, I heard you talking to someone about raising a family. I won't repeat that conversation, but you were very straightforward with both the advantages and the risks, the positives and the negatives. And sometimes when you have pastor conferences and things like that I've been to, it's very high and lofty. This is the counsel that we refer to. This is the liturgy, this, right? And in fact, that's probably a minor part of it. The major part of it is dealing with people, dealing with families, dealing with
100%.
problems. How do you raise people? And you need a leader, a pastor, a shepherd that goes right at it and goes, okay, here, this is the real world way it's going to work. Here's the pitfalls. Here's the benefits. And I appreciate you for the way you talk like that. Very straightforward. I see that people connect with that. Is that kind of how that conference is going to be? Like, you're going to try to get people that are like, hey, this is.
I always surround myself with people who I find helpful.
Okay.
Right. So I don't care if I'm based or not based. None of this stuff matters to me.
Right.
Like, I care if I'm helpful. If to be helpful, I have to be based or offensive, like in a God honoring way, I guess I'm going to have to be offensive. So what? But my goal is like, how does this help someone understand how the Word of God should be brought to bear in this situation?
Right.
And so we'll probably talk about bivocationalism, which is a little bit of a hobby horse for me, but I think also kind of a growing reality in a lot of communities with these smaller, newer churches where they're working with constrained budgets. Talk about raising up leaders would be another. We have a real leadership problem. It's worse than anyone seems to be willing to say, in my opinion.
Are you talking a broad scale, like
I'm talking about like
Western Christian Church?
Pastors
just in
and
your
elders.
area, or
no, the whole country.
Yeah.
There's demographic realities. The boomers are retiring. Even though the millennials are a very large cohort, actually bigger than the boomers, I believe, or equal at the very least. Many of them did not go into the ministry.
Sure.
Gen X is a very small generation, comparatively speaking. And
so now you're really looking to those under 28s and stuff, and they're coming up. That's the next generation that we've got to nurture and massage.
I would say about 35 and down.
Okay, 35 and under.
Where you're seeing a lot of the newer pastors.
Yeah.
And those are guys that probably have a couple kids. Yeah. You know, not very many in the double digits, just kind of due to other trends on later marriage states. So they don't really know a whole lot about parenting directly.
Right.
And the analogy I give people, I always say John Harris hates this analogy because he hates Star Wars, because he hates
all that is good.
He hates Marvel. He hates all that sort of stuff. But I say that the best boomers are kind of like Qui-Gon.
Okay.
Where Qui-Gon brings on Anakin as this Padawan, this fatherless child, and he has a real affection for him. Yeah. He doesn't actually respect the Jedi Council in the sense like he's willing to be emotional, to be kind, to connect, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So he's going to be the father to this unfathered child, and he dies though, and he's gone. And so then here's this other just became a Jedi Master, has more experience. He's not a Padawan, but he's brand new. And now he's got a Padawan, right?
Right.
And now he's in charge of them. I kind of feel like if I could be generational for a moment, is that the boomers are checked out for whatever reason, and there's not very many good ones. And then Gen X and older millennials were like, oh, I have Anakin's my responsibility, you know, so hopefully, you know, I don't raise him up to kill me or whatever. But we've like inherited a mantle of leadership.
Right.
Before we were old wise owls, right? And now being 45 and having some teenagers and burying some people and marrying lots of people and seeing some stuff like, well, you know what? If you got 5 or 10 years of that, that's way more than most guys have.
Yeah, that's
and so
crazy
we too are kind of having to step up and say, someone's got to help these guys.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not hopefully as wise as I'll be when I'm 60.
Right.
But I do have some things to share, and I have some things I've learned. So I want to bring in guys like that, Brian Laughlin. It's spelled like Laughlin, but I guess he says it Laughlin. He's out at Remnant Church and connected to the Grimke Seminary guys. He's agreed to be there. Wiley will be there. Chris has been a good friend. Looking at some other folks that have not confirmed yet. But the goal is to be very, it's more pastoral, more training oriented, really more workshop oriented in the sort of content. Maybe not the format, but I want the guys to walk away and be able to apply things to their
and for everyone listening right now too, as the time approaches, you'll see links in our description of our episodes. We'll make sure we get that out to people. Yeah. So because I think that's very important. One of the, and we'll wrap this up here in just a few minutes, but one of the issues, like you're saying though too, is with that generational differences. You have a 28-year-old lead pastor with a 1 and 3-year-old or a 2-year-old and a 6-month-old, and he's trying to counsel a 44-year-old guy with teenagers, and it's like the actual practical life experience just isn't there, right? Yes, we rely on the word and all that, but there's a common grace that God gives us through just living life and having 100%. Experiences. So it's this weird thing where you are seeing a generational shift in age in churches, and it's like, you gotta have those guys trained, and then even have them surrounded by, if they're that young, elders and other leaders that can
older guys too, and learning how to lead guys that are much older than you is its own challenge.
Sure,
but I do think you are seeing guys show up in their 50s, 60s, even 70s. The church is pastored by guys in the late 20s.
Yeah,
because they're like, there's life here.
Absolutely,
right? They're preaching the truth. People are getting discipled, and they're real Christians, and they're excited to see the gospel go forth and conquer and take over people's lives and bear fruit. Learning how to lead those guys well, because not all those guys actually want to be pastors or take over, but maybe you don't know how to counsel, dealing, like my daughter's 12, my oldest daughter, and moving into puberty, I'm learning how to deal with girls in that stage.
Sure.
And I've got a little bit to add, but there are older people in my church that aren't on staff that I can call up and say, what would you do? How'd you get through this? And they're helpful to me. So learning how to utilize all the different gifts in terms of experiencing people that God's bringing in your church will be super important for this upcoming generation of pastors. Cool. Learning how to lead those people. So whether we'll do this conference next year or not.
I was just going to ask that as we finish up. Do we have anything in the future, any dates set or
so
any
we
ideas?
always do Labor Day weekend.
Okay.
So it's Thursday through Saturday, Labor Day weekend. That way I can recover on Monday.
Sure.
And there's been like a sort of conference fatigue to some degree.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
But I think a lot of people are feeling that right now. So maybe if they quit, we don't have to. We can just keep going. You
just kind of got to feel it out then, basically. Through the year, you kind of go, okay, is there...
And we've worked really hard at kind of figuring out our space, where we're good, the sort of speakers we want to have come.
Yeah.
And I really look for a particular type of guy.
Sure.
And I feel like I've gotten better every year. And this year, I was really satisfied with we had the right mix. And I felt like everyone put things down on a shelf that everyone could reach.
Sure.
And I love that. That's
the point, kind of it, Yeah.
How do I help me understand the word, and now what do I go do with it? And that's our goal, to be helpful. So if we do it next year, it will be the same weekend, and it will be similar in its goal, but I'm not sure what the topic would be.
Yeah. I mean, everyone's attracted to someone who can take a big, lofty idea and then make it applicable in their life and explain it in a way that you can understand. Yep. I mean, that's every single guy or girl, I guess, but every single guy out there that has any type of notoriety or following can usually do that pretty well in any subject matter. You've seemed to capture that in a kind of lightning in a bottle with at least 4 or 5 of the speakers here this weekend. When I'm listening to him, I'm going, he got the right guys for it. So I really appreciate being here. I don't want to keep you that much longer. I know we're wrapping up. Guys, we've sat through, I think, 6-7 interviews. This is the last one. We've completed the conference. And Michael, thanks so much for having us down. It was awesome. And thanks for being on. Guys, remember, as always, you can find out more about us at DMWpodcast.com. But the chief in demand is to glorify God and enjoy Him forever. God bless. Be sure to check us out at DMWpodcast.com, where you can purchase the best and snarkiest merch on the internet, support the show, and leave us a review or message. Dead Men Walking can be found on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Dead Men Walking Podcast, and on Twitter X at Real DMW Podcast. The Dead Men Walking Podcast is part of the Fight Laugh Feast Network. For exclusive show content, be sure to download the Pub TV app and become a member. If you're a business that needs to reach hundreds of thousands of potential customers in your demographic, podcast advertising might be for you. Send all inquiries to deadmenwalkingpodcast@gmail.com.
None your biscuits.